So it's been a while since I've sat down and I've done a JoJo Versus video, which is what we're going to sit down and do today. But in case you guys want to see JoJo Versus more often, let me know down below in the comments, and maybe I will make JoJo Versus a weekly thing where every Friday we have a JoJo Versus video. So that's all up to you guys. And if you're new and you're wondering what JoJo Versus is, it's basically me taking a JoJo character and putting them up against any other random ass anime or video game character of your guys' choice, or just something that I might have in mind that I think would be a good matchup. So without anything else, I guess, distracting us or anything else to be really said about this as a thing, let's jump right into the video. So I know I kind of spoiled this one when I did the Rohan video when I mentioned Caleb doing Ultimate Cars versus Meruem, but it's funny because I was working on doing Ultimate Cars versus Cell, and that's what we have here today. So I just thought it was funny. By the way, shout out to Caleb. You guys can go ahead and check out his stuff. You know, you guys should know Caleb. It's Caleb IA. But out of most of my matchups, when I was thinking about who I would put against Cars, since I already did Dio, I wanted to, you know, kind of just continue going with the villains part by part. So next I'll probably end up doing Kira or something, and then I'll do like Diavolo and all that. But I, you know, sat down and I'm like, all right, Cars is powerful and he has an obsession with becoming perfect, and he becomes a perfect life form. Who matches that? And then the first thing that comes into my mind is Cell, because Cell also has an obsession with being perfect and reaching perfection, and then he reaches perfection and he's very powerful. Even though they're both very powerful, the power gap indeed is pretty large. But first we'll start off with Cars. So as you guys know, Cars gets the Stone of Asia put into the stone mask, and he wears it, and when they flick the ultraviolet light beam at his face, it lights up the stone, and it ends up making him into a perfect, not even human, he's a pillar man. He becomes a perfect life form, the ultimate life form that is Cars. And he's got long flowing hair, and he's really weird because talking about some of his feats and some of his powers real quick, he can shape-shift his body and transform it into anything that has life. So he turns his hand into a squirrel that kind of like goes through and kills a bunch of the Nazi people, and it like burrows and like digs through Stroheim's like gut, his mechanical gut. It's really weird. He turned his hand into a squirrel. He's also able to sprout these bird wings from his back and fly with them. I think he actually just turns his arms into wings. I can't remember right now. I probably should have checked that. But you guys get the fucking point. He can fly. And then if you played As a Heaven, he has this weird squid tentacle thing that he's able to do with his arm. I don't remember him doing that in the anime or manga, but he can pretty much change his body into whatever other thing that he would want to. So there's a lot of options here. I mean, you know, feasibly, he could become pretty much anything that is life, since he is one with life, hence him being the ultimate life form. So it actually makes Cars a lot stronger than he would be thought of, I guess. I mean, he could like turn his leg into like a lion or something. Since he turned his hand into a squirrel, he could turn like his like leg into a lion, because it's never really stated how specifically that's supposed to work. It just kind of happens. And then he could just have a bunch of lions chasing people, you know. He could just lose his legs for a second, have them change into giant lions. Maybe he could turn into a giant T-Rex, you know. If he turns into a T-Rex, then it'd be like a precursor to Diego or something. I don't know, man. I'm just spouting random shit, but just you guys get the point. That's pretty impressive to be able to do this. Aside from, you know, him having this really weird shape-shifting ability, he's also incredibly fast, and he has the power of light, in which he's able to make these blades on his arms with light, and he's able to like reflect light on it, and it kind of like spins like saw blades, and it's very, very, very strong, like ridiculously fucking overpowered. And he's able to like cut through bullets and like cars like very easily. Yeah, Cars can cut cars with these light blades on his arms. And he also gets perfect hormone mastery when he's finishing off Joseph, which he should have ended up killing him, but you guys already know how I feel about that. But he was able to melt human flesh on contact once. He tapped his finger against his like knee or whatever, or he like kicked him or something, and then Joseph's kneecap started melting, which I don't know why it stopped. I mean, I guess maybe when they went up to space and space was like super cold, it like stopped the freezing, but then you would think that Joseph's leg would freeze since Cars froze in space, although people bring up the Cars was further out in space, but Joseph was also out of, you know, out in space with him, and you could kind of see the planet and stuff, but it's just goofy manga shit, so I'm not going to think too hard about it. I've already done that before. And Cars also can regenerate his body, just like the other Pillar Man were able to manipulate their bodies, and he has this super manipulation where he can turn into like squirrels and shit. He can regenerate, and heal himself, which is what he did when he was getting burnt in the volcano, in which he ended up regenerating his body and then using the heat bubbles around him to change them into like a crab-like armor so that he could burrow out of the lava. It was some crazy explanation to it, but he has regeneration, which is something that he has in common with Cell. So let's segue right into talking about Perfect Cell. So since I just mentioned it, Perfect Cell does have regeneration, and he was pretty much able to restore his body at the blink of an eye, I want to say. When Gohan transforms into Super Saiyan 2, we'll start off with this. He pretty much is like bodying Cell's shit. He's like bullying him around. He's playing with him. He's toying with him after he goes on a rampage and destroys all of the Cell Juniors and literally like blows them up. Like he like karate chops them in half and they like fucking blow up and shit. He like destroys them. He ends up attacking Cell, and half of Cell's body is gone. He's literally missing like half of his body, pretty much. He's missing an arm and a leg, and like that part of like his torso and shit is completely gone, and Cell was able to just regenerate this and get a brand new stronger arm and a stronger leg within a blink of an eye, pretty much. Not like can he do that, but when Cell blows himself up after spitting out 18, after Goku does the instant transmission with him, Cell blows himself up. Because he was like, alright, fuck all of you guys, I'm gonna kill everybody. And then Goku does instant transmission and they teleport to King Kai's planet and Cell blows everything up. Cell was able to come back because he survived as a nucleus, and he was able to recreate his all the cells of his body, which is pretty crazy to me. And what happened after that was Cell got a Zenkai boost, which is essentially a power boost that Super Saiyans, the Saiyans get whenever they're close to dying, but they don't die. Like the closer they get to death, the stronger they become after they heal. So he got a Zenkai boost from this. And understand that Cell isn't a human. Cell is an android, but he's also like a really weird fucked up test tube baby because he's got like Frieza cells in him so he can survive in space. He's got like Namekian cells in him. He's got Saiyan cells. He's got a bunch of different shit. So he has this like super crazy regeneration and a bunch of different stuff. He's like a weird alien test tube baby android thing. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, Cell was able to recreate himself from a nucleus. So he's pretty much nothing, and he was able to completely bring himself back to full power, and he actually got stronger since he got the Zenkai boost, which I always thought was really cool. But it's very impressive to think about him as a character, being able to recreate yourself from a nucleus. If Cars was able to do some crazy shit like that, there would literally be nothing stopping him, unless you completely evaporate him, and then there's no nucleus left, which is how Cell died. But he can survive as a nucleus, which is very impressive. And then I'm sure everybody else is aware, you know, the whole Dragon Ball gist of being super strong, super fast is very applicable to Cell. He's very strong, very fast. And he can absorb people. And when he absorbs people, he becomes stronger because he's absorbing them. So, you know, and it would make sense for him to power up and all that shit. And that he's got the really big beam blasts and the Kamehameha, and he can do the Spirit Bomb and video games and shit like that. So, you know, Cell's very powerful. Now, with that being said, if we were to take these two perfect beings and put them up together, what I think would happen is Cars would, of course, you know, boast about being perfect, and Cell would boast about being perfect, and Cell being Cell, he'd be interested in fighting Cars, and Cars would probably just be like, okay, dude, I don't care about all that shit, I just want to kill you, because he never really cared about anything about being a noble warrior and all that shit, because he's like, yeah, Wamu did his job, whatever, cool, now I get to fight, now it's my turn to, you know, beat your ass, because you killed my two followers, you killed my boys, so I'm gonna get you now. And that was, of course, to Joseph, not to Cell. He's not like, I'm saying Cell killed him, because it's not the scenario, but Cars would pretty much just, you know, start fighting Cell, and I think the beginning of the fight would pretty much pan out with the two just moving at like light speed and attacking each other, since they're both very fast, and I think they would exchange a couple of blows, you know, Cell trying to sit there and punch and kick pretty much Cars, because that's all he'd really be doing to Cars, and Cars would be trying to attack him with the light blade, and I think the Cars would probably cut Cell up a couple of times, maybe cut off an arm or a leg or two, just to kind of spice things up so Cars could get cocky for a second and think, oh look, I'm doing a very good job at this, and then Cell would just regenerate it back and be like, bro, come on now, like, this is a joke, are you gonna get serious now? And that would probably trigger Cars out the ass. Cars would probably be extremely pissed about the whole situation, be very angry boy, and he would decide to sit there and take things a little more serious, and instead of goofing off as much with Cell, he'll probably start attacking him with his ultimate Hamon, which again melts human flesh. Now, since it does melt human flesh, you would probably think, okay, maybe I can attack this guy with it and it should work, since he doesn't really know what Cell is, and it would essentially melt Cell partially, since he's a mix of things. But since Cell is Cell, he'll just regenerate it and be like, bro, come on, seriously, what are you doing? And that's when Cars just gets very, very, very pissed, and he's like, okay, this is not going anywhere, I'm going to attack with everything I've got. And that's when we get down to what I think would happen. And this doesn't need to happen because Cell is obviously much, much, much more stronger just in terms of strength and the fact that he can shoot giant beams and stuff. We never see Cars shoot beams. And that's something that's very hard to kind of compete against. And Cell can survive in space while Cars can't. So Cell and Cars are fighting, and Cars tries to give Cell an ultimatum attack. He tries to beat him with everything, the strongest, purest Hamon that is supposed to be as strong as the sun. And unfortunately, Cell's just like, yeah, I'm done with this shit. And Cell could probably just try and leave, in which Cars would chase after him, and we'd probably get like a cool flight chase scene. Those are always pretty cool. And anybody who's like seen like Dragon Ball stuff knows that those scenes are always awesome when they're just like flying after each other and they're attacking and somebody's running and the other person is, shooting blasts at them and stuff. I think something like that would probably pan out, in which Cell would probably just be shooting beams at Cars, and Cars would be all like, oh shit, he can do that. Well, I should probably try to do that. So then Cars would probably adapt most likely, since he is very smart, which is something that they also make mention of. They mention that Cars has a very high IQ. I think the Cars would be able to adapt and somehow shoot his Hamon out in blasts, just to kind of make things a little fair, because to be fair, we never really see them try to shoot Hamon in blasts. We've seen Caesar use the Hamon bubbles, and we've seen William Zappelli in part 1 shoot the Hamon like discs with the wine that he would sip from the wine cup. He would like shoot them, but we never really see Hamon blasts. I mean, we see it concentrated into things because, again, Hamon is similar to Ki. So I think the Cars would be able to try and imitate these beams and try to shoot Cell down with them, but ultimately in the end, Cell will just be like, okay, this is a joke. And of course, Cell does not have to do like a super crazy Kamehameha or a Spirit Bomb, but let's just say he does do a Spirit Bomb that blows up the planet, but Cars and Cell make it out alive, right? Given Cars is extremely injured, and of course nothing happens to Cell, because Cell is Cell, they're now floating in space, and that's when Cars tries to attack Cell again, and he's like, wait, shit. And then he freezes. Because ultimately, if you were to try and have Cell actually like fight Cars, he would just beat him very quickly. So I thought it'd be a little more interesting to have the two fly around a little bit and have some interaction, since it just fits the character of Cell and fits Cars, since they're both, perfect beings in their anime. They're both perfect characters, quote unquote. At least that's what they call themselves. I'm not just saying like they're perfectly written, but that's what they see themselves as. They see themselves as perfect beings. They're both super powerful. They both have this crazy ass regeneration. They both have this obsession with being perfect and being strong. And if Cell wanted to, he could probably easily absorb Cars and then have a Hamon boost and then be able to do a bunch of crazy body morphing stuff, which would make Cell a lot stronger. And I think if he were to absorb Cars and get this ultimate Hamon, that he would probably be able to destroy several planets. That's probably not accurate to scale. Don't quote me on that. But regardless, Cell kind of just blows back Cars, and I know you guys may think, oh, there's like maybe just, oh, Kami's biased to JoJo, or Kami hates JoJo. No, I love JoJo. Why else would I sit here and make videos on JoJo, you dumbass? But just when it comes to JoJo characters fighting Dragon Ball characters, which I know the last one I did of this was months ago, and that was Dio versus Hit. Hit is just like on such another level compared to Dio, but I thought that Cars and Cell would have a little more in common, and it would be a little more of a fair playing ground in terms of the two actually fighting each other, since they would just be throwing punches and kicks and blasts back at each other. And Cars with his shenanigans, maybe, I don't know, he could have thrown out his hand at Cell, and he could have had the squirrel attack Cell, and that would have been funny. Just Cell, like, okay, yeah, you got a squirrel, wow, blow this thing up, and he just shoots a beam through it, and it completely evaporates into nothing, so he grows his hand back. Just things like that would happen, but he could absorb Cars and then become super strong. But I think if the two were to do that, and Cell were to just decide to blow up the planet, because he's like, you know what, I don't feel like dealing with you or anything else here, I'll just blow everything up. And he were to blow everything up, then, well, he would survive in space, and Cars can't. So that being said, let me know what you guys think would happen down below in the comments, as well as if you want to see this become a weekly Friday thing, and then I will sit down and do that. Also, give me any recommendations for JoJo versus on which characters you would like to see. It doesn't have to just be Dragon Ball. I know I've done Dragon Ball for the past two, but it was just what I had in mind when doing these. Like I said, just give me anything that you guys would like to see for JoJo versus down below in the comments. It could be anything like, I don't know, it's fucking Shigechi versus Mr. Krabs, because they're both greedy, which is something that I was going to make a long time ago as a joke. But if you guys do want to see that, then go ahead and let me know. Like I said, the floor's up. I have a couple ideas. I might do Jonathan versus Kenshiro pretty soon, so if anybody else does that by the time this gets uploaded, just know they're copying me. All right, I'm putting that out there right now. I'm not saying that it hasn't been done, because it probably has been done, but I'm saying a JoJo versus Cell video in 2017, as of like, now, me recording this, then they copied me. That being said, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. I can't remember if I already said that. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. By the time we're recording this, we're almost at 6,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for all the support, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.